Okay, fine. I hope that's very, very visible to everyone and I am audible to everyone. So this is the course where we will be focusing on what? We would be focusing only on the PYQs, and in this course I'm going to give you the detailed explanation for each and every question as they have appeared in the exam, and from those questions how you can prepare for upcoming exam, right? So let's start without any delay. Before that, those who are new on the platform, most welcome to Padai app. This is the app where you can prepare for your exams, especially for labor welfare, IR and HRM. I am Lakshmi Kushwaha, your educator for the same subject, and this course is valued only at rupees 99, but this is offer is valid only till 1st September. Now in this course we are going to do all 8 years question papers, last 8 years PYQs with the detailed analysis. Now I will give you the time to answer the question. In the comment section you can try to answer these questions as well, right? So the first question which was asked in this June 2023 is, match the following: Minimum Wages Act 1948, Payment of Bonus Act 1965, Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, the Equal Remuneration Act 1976. You have to match what these provisions are given under which laws. So please try to mark the answer in the comment section. So what is associated with what? Minimum Wages Act, what it is, continuous service, allocable surplus, advisory committee, advisory board. So quickly mark in the comment section according to you what should be the answer for this, and then I will be giving you the explanation. Yes. Right. So the answer for this is, right, the answer for this is option number 3. Minimum Wages Act 1948 is your advisory board. Payment of the Bonus Act is your allocable surplus. Payment of Gratuity Act is your continuous service. Equal Remuneration Act is your advisory committee. So this is the answer for this particular question. Now understand this. This type of question are very in trend. I mean to say is since last 3 years, or you can say since last 3 papers rather, this advisory board, advisory committee, this type of questions are repetitively asked. So whenever you study any kind of committee, whenever you study any kind of board in the law, make sure that you by heart them, that which committee, which board is associated with what, right? That is really very important. Now let's understand the concept given here, few of them into detail. Continuous service, allocable surplus, advisory committee, advisory board. Now advisory board is given under the Minimum Wages Act. So under the Minimum Wages Act, advisory board, and there is also a central advisory board. Also there is committee and subcommittee. So there are 3 things: advisory board, central board, committee and subcommittee. Why and what is the purpose of this advisory board, central advisory board, subcommittee and committee? So Minimum Wages Act, the purpose of Minimum Wages Act is to fix the minimum wages and revise the minimum wages which is to be provided different categories or different employment, or people employed in different employment given as per the schedule. Now while fixing and revising this minimum wages, there are 2 methods through which the fixation and revision of the minimum wages can take place. One is your notification method, one is your committee method. So when we come to the committee method, this committee method are advised by, or you can say this advisory committee at the state level and central advisory committee at the central level. They advise the government, appropriate government, that what can be the right minimum wages to be fixed and what after revision, when and how the revision has to take place. So advisory committee actually advises the state government and the committee, you can say the state government, what is the process or how fixation can take place. Also the advisory committee also can appoint committees and subcommittees to help them. Whereas Central Advisory Committee, it suggests or it advises the central government in its work. So that is related to advisory board. Understand, this is boards under the Minimum Wages Act. Next is your advisory committee. This is for Equal Remuneration Act. Under Equal Remuneration Act, which has the objective of providing equal remuneration to employee and employer. Here, advisory committee is constituted by the appropriate government with the purpose of advising the appropriate government what can be the equal remuneration and what areas the equal remuneration can be provided, how women can be treated equally. So that is the advisory committee. Then moving to the continuous service. What is continuous service? So wherever this continuous service is defined has got the same definition. So a continuous service is said to be a service of 1 year, uninterrupted service of 1 year. Now this interruption may be layoff, this interruption because of maternity, this interruption because of disablement, this interruption because of your wage with leaves, so paid leave. This is not considered as an interruption. This will be actually counted under the continuous service. So when we talk about above the ground, it is 240 days which is considered to be continuous service for 1 year. Below the ground, 190 days, it is considered to be the continuous service for 1 year. 120 days above the ground for 6 months, 95 days below the ground for the 6 months. That is your continuous service. Next comes your allocable surplus. Now what is this allocable surplus as given under the Bonus Act? Allocable surplus is the amount from which the bonus is paid to the employees working in an establishment. Now how this allocable surplus is calculated? As per the Bonus Act, when an organization or establishment earns the profit minus expenditure, tax as per the section 7 and section number 6, all depreciation has been deducted. This gives you the available surplus. Whatever amount comes, it is available surplus. From this available surplus, 60% and 67% of this available surplus is distributed as a bonus among the employees. Now 60% would be for banking company or bank as defined under the law, banking company, and non-banking company it would be 60%, 67% distributed as an allocable. So what you have to remember, allocable surplus, a amount which is distributed among the employees as a bonus. I hope that's very clear, right? Let's move to the next. Now this is the question. You can say either unit number HRD, unit number 3 or HRM. Both of them has this topic. Which of the following statements are correct about benchmark? Read the options and try to answer this question. What would be the correct answer for this? Yes. So try to mark in the comment section. What would be the correct answer? Which of the following statements are correct about the benchmark? It is a best practice among the competitors or non-competitor that leads to superior performance. It is a goal to identify the standard of excellence against which the organization can measure and compare its performance. Choose the most appropriate answer from the below. Third one is your best practices are found inside and outside the organization. Okay, those who are marking D, why it is D? Can anyone tell me why it has to be D? Best practices found in inside and outside the organization, how this is relative? See, understand this. The answer key for this given in the answer key is your option number 1, that is A and B. C is not the option given as per the answer key. Now why C is not considered? This option appears to be correct. Let's first understand benchmark means what. See, as it appears to be correct, it appears to be correct because somewhere we sometime benchmark our own performances. But here the most appropriate thing is asked. So whenever a organization tries to benchmark the thing, it always try to benchmark it with the competitors, that is the market, or the excellence, or the people who are having higher standards, or who are best in the market, right? So those who are best in the market, they try to benchmark them. So what is benchmarking? Now, there can be general term called as benchmark. When we talk about HR, there is an HR benchmark, which is nothing but an HR matrix. HR matrix, it is a form or a phenomena, or you can say a concept, through which a measurement of various HR practices is being done, out of which one is your HR benchmark. Now, first let's understand, when we say benchmarking, you must have, during your school or during your childhood, your parents must have been doing this, that see, A have scored 87% or B have scored 90%. You have to become like A, you have to score like good like B, right? So you keep on benchmarking the competitors or someone who is actually performing the best, right? So when it comes to the business, it can be anything related to the performance, products, services, and the process. However, this measurement do not have much a value on their own. That data needs to be compared against some sorts of the standard. So the line here says it does not have their own value. What does this mean? That B, if I say it is 90 marks or 90% the person have scored, it may not or have the value associated with it. Means वो 90 मार्क्स उस पर्सन के लिए अच्छे हो भी सकते हैं, नहीं भी हो सकते हैं, ठीक है. लेकिन when it come to the comparison, they are important, right? So this is the business benchmarking. Now when it comes to the HR benchmark, human resource benchmark, it actually provides insight into what is possible. So if I have certain, मेरे पास में अगर कुछ practices हैं, procedures हैं, उन practices, procedures को best कैसे बनाया जा सकता है, that is the insight which is provided by HR benchmark. So if I have to define it, it is a process that is used in order to compare similar characteristics across the organization in order to identify milestone, a sort of compare contrast system of determining success and best practices. Now this can be your expected question for upcoming exam. Arrange the following steps of benchmarking into the sequence. So you need to be aware that first you would be deciding subject. Are you going to benchmark product? Are you going to benchmark services? So what all things you are going to benchmark? So first you would be deciding the subject. Decide which organization or companies you want to benchmark. Which company? Your competitor, inside the country, outside, international, what? Document your current process, very very important. So when you are benchmarking, when you are standardizing something, your current level, your current status need to be aware. Collect and analyze data, measure your performance against the data you have collected, create a plan how you are going to achieve those benchmark standard, implement the required changes in order to achieve it, and repeat the process if you want to keep on benchmarking the things. Let's move to the next question. Now this is important, or rather this was the first time such questions were asked. Labor legislation in India has a history over how many years? 300, 125, 50 years, 25 years. So answer this question. What would be the answer for this? Yes. Correct. So the answer for this is option number 2, 125 years. Our labor legislation history is over 125 years old. Now if you are asked what is the trade union history, so trade union history is your 50 years old, right? Okay. Now let's understand this. This part is from unit number 7 where we study the evolution of labor legislation. Okay, so history of India dates more than 125 years ago. This one more question has been asked in previous two exams about which legislation actually started the history of industrial relation. Try to understand the keywords which I am saying. So how and from which legislation was the first legislation which actually marked the starting of IR, industrial relation in India. So it was Apprentice Act of 1950. The main provision under this law was which allowed orphan children to find work when they reached at the age of 18. Several labor law covering all aspects of industrial employment have been enacted. So over the period of the time after this, 8081 Factories Act came into the existence, and there were number of the legislation were followed. But the first time which defined the industrial relation in India was Apprentice Act of 1950. After this, Bombay Trade Dispute and Conciliation Act of 1934. This is your first law legislation which is state level pe. State legislation for industrial relation. So at the state level, if you have the question, which of the following law or legislation at the state level defined the industrial relation for the first time, or history of industrial relations started, so you need to know Bombay Trade Union Conciliation Act of 1934. However, this was renamed as Bombay Industrial Dispute Act of 1930 by the amendment of 1938, and it was named as Bombay Industrial Relation Act of 1946. Clear? I hope that is very clear to everyone. Let's move to the next question. Which of the following is not the part of best practices for human resource development? Unit number 3. Not. Very simple question, very direct question which can be answered. Chalo, quickly let me know. Correct. Right. So the answer for this is strict adherence for the profit motive. Now, please understand, this is again very important. HRD. Okay. Human resource development is an important unit from which the questions are being asked in exam. So, what is human resource development? Development, as it says. Now, there are two things: organizational development and human resource development. Human resource development and organizational development, how they are different? Are they part of each other? So please remember, OD, when organizational development happens, automatically HR, human resource development will happen. And when HRD happens, human resource development happen, automatically organizational development will happen. So when we talk about learning, when we talk about teaching, when we talk about engaging the employees into the participation, when we give a clear communication, where you are focusing only on developing the human resources. For what? For not only the current, but preparing them for the future requirement. In simpler words, making your employees competitively best. So gaining that competitive advantage, human resource development is very important. So HRD for the first time was applied in 1968 in George Washington University, and it was introduced by Leland Nadler, and it was at Miami Conference of American Society Training and Development 1969. Clear? How it was introduced, when it was introduced, used for the first time, who have introduced, right? Who are the Indian authors associated with it? What is human resource development? It is an organized, when we say organized, means well planned. Human resource development needs to be planned. You cannot all of a sudden wake up someday and decide, no, I want to do human resource development today. No, it is a planned. Main purpose of this human resource development is get a learning experience, in order those learning experience, those permanent changes into the behavior or permanent changes into the performance, which is aimed at matching the organizational need for the human resources with the individual need for career and development. So as an individual I have certain need, as an organization I have certain goal. When you talk about matching them through learning, it is human resource development. Now the question is asking the best practices. So this best practices is nothing but the HRD instrument. This can be mechanism, this can be method, this can be called as tools. So what are the best, which is universally applicable? Manpower planning, performance appraisal, feedback, training, education. We will study all this in our detailed course which is going on. Right? Those who want to enroll for the detailed course, already the course is going on where everything is being taught in detail. Potential appraisal and promotion, career development, OD technique, role analysis, role development, quality work life, participated devices. This is workers' participation in management. Compensation, this is the recognition which is to be given. Communication, keeping the transparency, communicating what is your goals, what is expected from you. Counseling, grievance redressal is also one of the HRD instrument, right? So that was the HRD. Now today we started little late, so for today I would be ending here only. Tomorrow we would be starting little early, maybe at around 9:45, right? So I have another class. I will end this session. Okay, I will end this session. Tomorrow we would be starting soon. I hope whatever question 235 question we discussed you understood. Clear, right? So we would be meeting tomorrow at the same time, moreover earlier, so that we can finish up larger number of the questions.